Are you drowning in debt? If so, I want to let you know that you're not alone. And in today's video, I'm going to show you 5 simple strategies that you can implement that will help you get out of debt. I just want to tell you, in case you don't know, the average American household has over $90,000 in debt. Yes, $90,000 in debt. And as every household is different, there's multiple strategies. So let's figure out which one is right for you. Let's hop right in. Strategy number 1 is the debt snowball method. And this method works by working to tackle the smallest debt first, regardless of the interest rate. And this is good for somebody who wants to get some quick wins. So you start with your smallest debt, you work to pay that off, you get the dopamine hit of, yes, I'm getting a win. Then you go to your next smallest debt, you pay that one off, and so forth and so forth. And I think it's really great. You know, I really like this one because I like the positive reinforcement of just getting the quick wins. And I know, hey, I'm knocking this off because I'm a list maker. So I like to be able to check stuff off. So this is actually one of my favorites. Strategy number 2 is the debt avalanche method. And this one works by actually starting with the one that has the highest interest rate, no matter what the balance is, and you pay off the one with the highest interest rate first, then you pay off the next one with the next highest interest rate, and so forth and so forth. This rate actually saves you money and interest over time if you have multiple debts. Of course, you know, all of your debts have different interest rates. So by tackling the one with the highest interest rates, this one will save you money over time. This one takes a lot more discipline just because, you know, you could have the highest balance, you could have a higher balance on one and you have to see that one through, you know, so this one is good though for saving money over time. And so if you feel like you're disciplined and you're up for the challenge and you want to take on the hardest one first, the debt avalanche method could be the right one for you. The third method is by making bi-weekly payments. And this will allow a couple different things possibly depending on how your debt is set up. One, by making bi-weekly payments, it will allow for an extra payment each year. Another thing is, depending on how your lender calculates interest, when you make the payment, it will interrupt the interest, and then it will cause them to have to recalculate it, and then you make another payment, then they have to recalculate it. So it's basically, you're able to make them recalculate interest a couple times a month. Now, I've heard some lenders, I was just on the phone with a client earlier today actually, and she was saying that her lender, when she tries to do this for her mortgage, they'll just actually hold the payment and they won't allow it to be applied until she's made the full payment. But I had a friend who was paying off a motorcycle and he actually started making bi-weekly payments. So every 2 weeks he'd make a payment, and it actually helped him with the way his loan was set up to actually pay less in interest over time because they had to keep recalculating it, and he was making more payments throughout the year. So by making bi-weekly payments, this could be a good, if you have extra money and you're able to allocate your budget that way, this could be a good method for paying off your debt. The next method is debt consolidation, and this one I believe is one of the best if you are able to consolidate and roll, if we're talking credit card balances, is roll that credit card balance over to a 0% credit card. Now, of course, this requires a couple different things for doing debt consolidation, of course, especially if you're trying to do it on a 0% credit card. One, you have to have good credit in order to get a 0% credit card. 2, you have to make sure you're not in too much debt, because if you've reached your max with the amount of money that lenders want to give you, they won't open up another credit line, especially at 0% interest, to allow you to roll these balances over. But if you are able to open a 0% loan via a credit card, or even get a loan, a consolidation loan that's at a lower interest rate amount, this will allow you to pay down and pay lower interest over the life of the loan. Of course, the 0% is the best because you're not paying any interest at all. The big thing here is that when you do this, when you consolidate, when you roll over credit cards and roll over different debts into one loan, one thing that does is that frees up the cards that you already had, or the other loans that you had outstanding. What you want to make sure you do not do is that now, since that loan balance is 0 and you have this consolidated amount that you're paying, you want to make sure you do not go back and start racking up those cards again, because this will put you in reverse. I actually had a good friend who did this a few times. He would roll over loans, consolidate everything. Then all of a sudden he decided he needed something else. You want to remember that when you're paying off debt, it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. So make sure you have to stay disciplined no matter what method you're using. You have to stay disciplined, especially when you're opening up new credit lines and your old credit lines are being freed up because you're consolidating. accumulating. The last method we're going to touch on today is a side hustle and extra payment method. This is when you work a side hustle and the money that you make from that side hustle, it allows you to make extra payments on your credit card. I have a buddy who did this as well. He is an attorney and he works for, I won't say where he works, but he works at one job doing his attorney job. And then on the side, he also does legal work. And he would take the money from his legal work and he would use that to pay down his student loans, other credit card debts that he had as he was working, just to really get his financial situation in good order. And if you're able to do that, if you have a side hustle, and I want to say, you have to be careful about this though, because if you're working a side hustle, it can also take away from your main job and it can wear you out. So I encourage people that want to run side hustles. It's great if you're doing it inside of what I would like to call your genius zone. And what I've defined by your genius zone is, what is the work that you're already getting paid with, that somebody's already paying you to do? And are you able to do that for someone else? And so, since this person was already working as an attorney and then he was taking some different legal side projects on the side, it was something that was already simple to him, and so it wasn't like him having to stay up all night working an extra shift at Starbucks. And no shade, if that's what you need to do, hey, that's also an option too. But just want to make sure that it's something that works well for you so that you're able to see it. Because once again, as you're paying off debt, it takes time, it takes discipline to stick to it. And so you want to come up with the method that works best for you. So of these 5 that we've gone over today, which one works best for you? Can you go ahead and let me know down below in the comments? I also want to give you a word of encouragement that paying off debt can be a frustrating process, but you can do it. No matter what debt you've gotten yourself into, you're able to get out of it. But I want to tell you, you got to stay encouraged, because it's so much harder when you're paying for something that you've basically already have or that you're already enjoying. And so, if you have a vacation or a surgery or a medical emergency that you have that you have accrued a debt with, it's different than when you're paying your monthly mortgage for your house or a car that you're actually driving and enjoying. And so, but you just have to stay in the game, stay hitting the game here mentally, stay focused on paying it off. Now, a couple things to look out for is that when you're looking to pay off debt, paying the minimum monthly payment will make you a slave to that debt. It's almost like you'll never pay it off. It will if you look at your credit card statement, I think now they're required to tell you how long it will take to pay off that debt if you make the minimum monthly payment only. And I think I looked at one time, it was like 30 something years, because the interest that's accruing on it is ridiculous. I don't even know how you pay it off if you just make the minimum monthly payment. Maybe I don't know what they do, but it's ridiculous. So you want to make sure you don't pay the minimum monthly payment. You want to be careful about taking on new debts when you're already in debt, because, if you're adding more to it, it can be rough. I was listening to a podcast and I once heard someone say, debt can be like fire. When you can use a fireplace to heat a home, but too much of it can burn the home down. And so it's like, you can use debt for a few things that you need it for, but too much of it can actually bring your financial situation to a crashing halt and really put you in a rough space. So you have to be really careful when you're taking on new debt. If you've taken on debt already, hey, now it's just the time you're watching this video, let's come up with a plan to pay it off. If you would like to connect with me and possibly talk about some debt strategy on how to pay it off, I have a link below. Feel free to book some time with me. We can book a complimentary call and I can go over what debt strategy may be right for you. Lastly, if you've gotten some value out of this video, can you do me a favor and go ahead and smash that like button and give us a subscribe? We're working on getting our message of financial education out to the world. And we've been looking at our YouTube analytics and we've seen that over 80% of the people who watch our videos are not subscribed. And so by subscribing and supporting the channel in that way, it helps the algorithm to get our video out and get our message of financial freedom. We are working to equip a generation of young professionals who are working to live a life that they're excited about today while living within their means and planning for a financially responsible future. So we would love a subscribe, and have a great day. If you have a question or a topic you would like me to cover on one of our future videos, feel free to leave a comment below. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.